On the business side of things, look for the right people. So the people that are moderators of your website, people that represent your website and your community. Find the right people, the influencers that have that degree of empathy that Brian talked about earlier. And look at the monetization opportunities. With forums, there isn't, I'm going to say, there isn't one ring to rule them all in that regard. You're going to need to look at things like AdSense, VigLink, post-release that were discussed earlier. Try and find as many different options that you can implement within your forum so that you can maximize the return you're getting on every single page view. Okay, this little website called Facebook, what does it mean for small communities? I'm sharing here with you some data that was done, pulled by the University of Massachusetts, and they did a paper on it in January. Now these are the tools that, social media tools, which Inc. 500 companies have used in 2009 and 2010, and have had success with. Have a look at that very top line. Message and bulletin boards. That's a surprise, isn't it? Well, maybe not, actually. Why do people come to forum websites? They come to try to learn about something. Something that will potentially end up being a purchase. The people that participate on these websites, they are the influencers. They are what I'd like to call the alpha users. They are people that are going to influence purchases. People come to forum websites with the intent to purchase. Have a look, third from the bottom is Facebook. That's quite a bit of a surprise. You'll see there that they've had some improvement from 2009 to 2010, but they're still well away short of forums. Now, I'm also going to share with you on the next slide something that's equally as surprising but somewhat disappointing. This is where companies, the same companies, put their effort and their money in 2009 and 2010. And you'll see message and bulletin boards are somewhere near the bottom. Facebook, obviously, right at the top. So, obviously, we don't have the most sexy commodity, but we've got a very effective commodity. Typically, markets have a good way of sorting that out, and you'll eventually see the money end up where the results are. I'll also point you over to, on the right-hand side, here's what companies felt in terms of where social media was in their marketing strategy for 2009 and 2010. You'll see a rapid shift to how people viewed the concept of social media, including forums. And now over half of them see it as being extremely important to their strategy. What does this mean for forum owners like yourselves? This means that the investment that's going to be put behind it by big companies is going to be much greater. And this means that the investment that is going to be put into your businesses as a result will be much greater. Now, Facebook, Twitter, how you can utilize these tools to improve the growth of your forum. So while I'd encourage you not to see the concept of Facebook or Twitter as a competing entity to your website, they serve a very, very, very different purpose. I could never, well, not at least in the next 5 or so years, Facebook won't be able to compete at the level of forums. And I couldn't really envisage them ever being able to compete. They won't have the organic nature of the content that you see, and in particular be able to reach and connect to those users in a way that forums currently do. But here's some tools that you can leverage from Facebook and Twitter. Use the Facebook Connect for login on your site. In vBulletin 4 we have it default in the software now, as well as a number of other publishing tools. Have a fan page, push content to it, make it engaging. Utilize the like button. On Twitter, Twitter's perhaps a little bit more difficult tool to, I'll say, monopolize and utilize for a forum owner, purely because it is real time, it's engaging, and can absorb a substantial portion of the time. And if you're trying to manage your web server, manage your angry users and everything else, you may potentially not have the time for it that you'd seek out. But still, I'd encourage you to maintain a presence there. See if you can seek out and find people that are discussing the topics that are mentioned on your forum. Use what I'd like to call tweet etiquette. This means don't just utilize an RSS feed and push it out into Twitter. Engage with people. Start following people that follow you. Return tweet people that you follow, so that you, I suppose, sow some positive karma into the Twitter land. And now, the million-dollar question. What's going to be the future of forums? Well, there's one little thing that's going to have a significant impact on it, and it's this. Well, perhaps not this. I'm 26 going on 65, so I've still got a BlackBerry. But the iPhone, the Android in particular, smartphones. The mobile space is not just going to be a space that is going to be a way that people can access websites. The mobile space is a new space entirely outside of the internet that has some connections to it. So make sure that whatever forum website you have an extremely strong mobile strategy, that you're planning on pushing yourself out into this emerging mobile market. Currently, in particular, if you monetize your website from advertising dollars, the advertising dollars perhaps aren't there yet, and the opportunities for advertising are nowhere near as great as they are in the web space, but they will come with time once the traffic is there. So we've actually, in the process of just launching native applications for all vBulletin forums, both iPhone and Android applications. We've got flyers on them if you've got any questions about it, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about it. But this needs to be a strong solution for you as a forum owner. I mentioned before about Facebook. 25, you perhaps may be aware of this statistic, but 25% of all internet usage on the internet goes through Facebook, and which perhaps means it's a 25% reduction in our productivity as a whole. But it's a place that you need to be, and you need to have a presence, and is perhaps the best opportunity for you to reach new potential users to your website. As I mentioned before, vBulletin by default has a number of publishing features to publish content into vBulletin, both at the admin level and at the user level. Make sure you utilize them. And I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak for the last 20-odd minutes. Do you have any particular questions? We've got a plugin that we've created that's on vBulletin.org, which is, for people who aren't aware, this is our official kind of modifications website. So you can visit that and download it and try integrating it. I'd suggest testing it. The level of, say, technical expertise you may need to implement it, we've got all the instructions there. I'll say is kind of a 5 out of 10. So, but we've got instructions, and there's a lot of people that have utilized the product and have experience with it. Yes?
On a very high level, can you explain how Facebook Connect works with not just vBulletin, but most forum softwares? What's the implementation? What information is pulled? What's the user experience? Just from a very high level.
Sure. So Facebook have definitely, I'll say, opened up on their side the information they'll allow third parties such as yourself and myself to pull from Facebook. So we can essentially grab most of what people upload, and we do that as part of the process. For you as a forum owner to implement it, usually it's just signing up to Facebook as a developer and getting like your ID and then putting it into your vBulletin software as an example. Does that answer your question?
Does that then create an account with, say, the user's name and their email address, or?
Yeah, so on the forum side, it creates it. You can do it two ways. One, which is an automatic registration, which means someone just clicks on the Connect with Facebook button, and it does everything. So it pulls their profile picture as their avatar, their name as their username. or you can have what's is the slower sign-up process, which pulls some of that information, so their Facebook ID and things like that, but they can still create their own username and other things like that.
Okay.
What's happening with reworking the interface? You guys updated to 4.0 and rewrote all the templates to look more or less like it's been looking for the last 10 years. So what's happening with bringing it up?
It's a very good question. The user interface is, we're very conscious of the existing user experience, and I've got a background in community management, and I know that you never want to move a user's cheese, ever. So that's something that we have to, I suppose, take into account whenever we kind of redo our software, is that we have to make the experience really good for existing users and hope to make it fit better within the social media space, and that's a constant battle that we have. With vBulletin 4, we kind of deferred closer to the existing user experience. That may change in the future. But
yes, an alternate skin that's available. It's really just skinning, right? A lot of
it is. It is. It's just the template and user design, and that as a forum owner is something you can 100% customize.